of the early game in this series has been quite crucial and pivotal to mid-game success and then subsequently closing out games.
So, as we were saying, at the very least, RA, don't play it close to the chest. Just do the smart thing. Final ban Elise here. They've already got rid of the Maokai. And because are you that scared about the virus after your success in last game?
Hello, EDG is self-banning it. So I wonder what the port of call is then for RA. Do they remove away the virus? Do they remove away Fofo's Jace? Because that's been quite destructive in both game number 1 and number 2. Is there anything else that's really on your mind here? Do you maybe feel like banning away the Caitlyn as well? I guess that's the other pretty viable option here. Remove away one side from the equation. Even if it means the virus remains up, you might have a couple of different answers into it. It's just going to be Ala's Jax into Cube. So EDG kind of still have pick of the litter, right? If they want the virus, they could even technically still first pick the Jace, to be honest with you. Sejuani's been largely ignored this series too. Still very, very powerful on this patch. Annie as well, still first pickable, but it seems like EDG don't want to give Assume this Caitlyn again, given the hover. And they're just going to likely lock this one in so they can secure themselves a strong bottom side. Take it back. Never talk about hovers. There's the Annie first pick.
Okay, so that means for RA then, Jamada, we're going to be like, maybe the Caitlyn does go over here as a priority for RA and they cement their bottom lane, or they get the pick of the litter for jungle as well. Like, you have a lot of options here on the red side.
Yeah, you really do. I feel like RA, it's kind of awkward to analyze sometimes because like the options are so limited, and given what we've seen both these teams play in game number 1 and 2, it's very clear they're comfortable playing quite a wide variety of not only the meta but things that are slightly outside of it at the moment. So RA, they snap up the virus. They're going to take that one up, and like you said, pick a litter for the jungle. I mentioned the Sejuani because it's not really been touched this series, and finally RA are going to allow Lian onto it. So what will JJ do? Will he go towards, you know, the slightly more boring matchup in the vibe? Will he pick up something like the Lee Sin for a little bit of early pressure, which Lian didn't have much success in game number 1, but for JJ, it's his most played in his whole career, I'm pretty sure. I think it's like 51 games, 60-something plus % win rate. So the guy can play it. We know that.
A lot on the international stage as well, I might add, too. Like, there was a lot of great performances from JJ on said champion. I think the Lee Sin is something that we've seen so many times. Is Zeri getting picked up here? Now, is Mako going to pick an enchanter? Is that going to be Fofo mid Annie?
Yeah, I mean, you can hold the flex, but how much value does this flex really hold for you? How much do you care about mid lane counter pick when you have Annie, right? It seems like for now, they will potentially just lock in their jungler because I feel like you don't really want to get whittled down on the jungle pool almost ever if you know that that can be locked away and sort of banned down. Now, RA, Strife is going to go towards this Yone, and obviously Yone plus Sejuani, very powerful and potent 2v2. My only concern is 1-to-1, you know, Annie can kind of handle the Yone quite easily, to be honest with you. So I kind of still worry about that 1-to-1 matchup, but at the very least in the team fights, if Strive ever finds a massive last not last breath, that's his brother, the Fate Sealed. If he ever finds a massive Fate Sealed, then yeah, EDG can definitely find themselves in a spot of bother. But EDG at the moment have quite a few strong wombo combo tools, right? Cyclone, Annie ult, Zeri also can very quickly start to DPS down a team that are being CC'd by those kind of tools. So Arya is still going to have to worry about some of these team fights. And
let me also say to you that this is the LPL, and I wouldn't be 100% surprised if it could be flexed to the top side of the map. It's been done before in the LPL. RA could have something up their sleeve, so I don't want to take away complete credit for now, but they are banning away the Akali, the LeBlanc getting taken through. I guess they assume that Mako's going to be piloting this into the bottom side of the map. You're right. It's just a bit of a strange one as RA, as they take away some of those mid lane matchups that often do quite well. EDG focusing on the top side of the map here. Renekton already taken from Cube. You don't care about the Sion. No one cares about Sion, right? No, we care about Engage, says EDG. They get rid of support Engage to go for Southwood.
Yeah, so they concerned about the Renekton Sejuani combination, which makes total sense. And generally, RA's Engage quite strong at the moment, but they don't want to have it be like a complete dog pile from the side of RA, so EDG just remove away the Naught. I think that's definitely the thought process here. However, Southwind is going to go ahead and pilot the Heimerdinger, and we'll see how he, you know, sort of steps up to how Mako played it in game number 1. Mako, you know, kind of mad scientist, I think. Makes a lot of sense, but they were in such a commanding lead that it didn't really matter what he did in that game. If it set RA up for failure, post Mako going down some of these team fights. Now, EDG, what's the answer, right? Where's this Andy going to go? What are you going to slot into the top side of the map as well? Potentially blind. Seems like Sejuani Syndra is going to be the option here. That'll go through. So strong 2v2 in the mid lane, locked down at that level 6. But you can kind of say the exact same thing about RA, and it's definitely going to be execution. Who gets hit by what, and how quickly is one member removed from that equation will be the key thing. So that locks Annie into the bottom side, and now it's up to Ala to potentially blind pick here into Cube.
So I guess RA's ban's definitely worthwhile in the end as well. They knew that Mako was going to be piloting this Annie, and RA must know something we don't. So kind of interesting to see here that EDG have been put in this corner as Ala wants to get on the Gnar. Game number 2, his Gnar was not that great, to be quite honest. So let's hope he has a better performance this time as we get our team fight from EDG. But on the side of RA, this was hovered in game number 2 against the Gnar. It would just be brilliant. It's great. It's so much fun in the matchup.
Yeah, not only is the matchup quite good, but I feel like it would make a fair amount of sense into picks like Syndra. Even Zeri can kind of struggle if she's not got her passive stacked up and she's skating around, but they go towards the Camille, which is quite a rarity if it's not paired up with Galio through the mid lane, right? So Cube, we'll see how he gets on. It's a very positive-sided matchup towards the Camille into the Gnar. You can very easily assassinate mini Gnar and you outscale on the side lane. The early levels can be a bit of a pain when you're dealing with the range, but again, you always have to be worried about the threat of the hook shot. But RA, I think it rounds out their comp quite nicely because it just adds to that dive threat that they're quite clearly looking for through the Sejuani and through the Yone. And it gives them that side lane edge as well, whereas EDG, again, much like game number 2, it's a lot about the team fights, it's a lot about Ala finding flanks, and this time JJ as well on that Wukong.
But surely as Leave, as the Zeri this game, you will be terrified with everything that RA have to throw at you in the wall. You don't have an enchanter down that bottom lane. You're running with a burst mage with, I think Annie's like 8 or 10 or something. I don't know how old this child is, but it's not going to be enough to save you from the all-in burst power that RA have. I want to ask you some more questions about that as we get into game, Jamada, but for now, we're all going to sit back and relax because game 3 came upon us in what I would say is quite a rarity of a second game at that. RA with a huge comeback with what was an explosive powerhouse of 45-minute gameplay. We're now in this position where EDG have been threatened enough against a middle-tier team in the LPL that they probably didn't expect to have so much trouble with. EDG, their position in tying up second here today with JDG has gone, but they can still hold strong to third, and they can still hold strong in that top 3. All they need is a series win. While for RA, this would put them in the top 10, and this would put their names on our lips, considering that Rare Atom have never before been in LPL playoffs. This would be a nice little run that's starting here at the start of Week 7 of the LPL.
This lineup trying to make history for the organization. And it would be quite exciting to see them at least give it a go in playoffs, right? There's quite a few fun teams towards that sort of bottom side of playoffs mixer, shall we say. Teams we're potentially expecting to see, teams like OMG. I guess IG are now technically a part of that mix as
somehow
they've gone through their rough pack. TT as well. So RA joining that list would be quite exciting for them as well, the experience you can get from that.
What is this fight? We're just fighting without minions. The 2v2 is literally just playing like, I don't know, the magma chamber or something here.
Welcome to Heimerdinger Lane.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they just don't want to give up too much early priority, Mako and Leave, so just trying to get down whatever damage and poke they can from the get-go. We know what this lane is about, realistically, the Heimerdinger and the Varus on their side. For Leave and Mako, it's just more about trying to secure a little bit of early priority when and where they can, and if they can deny it at the level 1, it can very often snowball. And again, with all the junglers typically passing towards the bottom side, priority can be king and trying to snowball some larger maps, map plays rather, towards the enemy jungle.
Well, EDG are winning that priority war, that's for sure, as junglers are going to be swapping sides of the map. Lo Yen with a top side start here, doing a full clear, while same can be said of JJ. Moving up towards his top side as well, as Lee just goes over the wall. Sets up for the aggressive trade right in RA's face as they hit level 2 first and decide to flaunt about it. There will be a ward down there for both sides of the bottom lane as Luoyan starts making his way down. And it'll be interesting to see where he can make his move, because for now, Luoyan has a couple of camps to go, but no lanes really set up perfectly for him.
Yeah, I really want to highlight, just in the corner of our screen for a second there, you saw Strive has really been eating quite a few trades from Fofo. And Fofo actually has a fair amount of his mana bar still left and available too.
Oh, come on.
Oh, man.
That's like the fourth time this series on camera.
I don't know if you caught the series yesterday, the very opening between FPX and LGD. But there's clearly a meme. There's clearly a bit of a meme going on the Chinese side of the cast, because every single time a cannon got missed, it was on screen and zoomed in. Now, speaking of being zoomed in.
Yeah, we're looking at this play heavily, aren't we? Southwind already flashes away, but Luoyan in here. But I won't say it's in the nick of time. As Lever's played this out so well. Hides behind Mako. The 2v2 of EDG. That feels like a little flashback to Viper Mako from last year.
Yeah, it really does. Quite reminiscent there, that play. Leon just has to back away, forced to flash out. EDG able to ward off the jungler. Leon just didn't really have the health bar to work with, right? It wasn't full HP. Came off the clear chunks and pays for it. His own flash, and he's not really able to alleviate much pressure from the RA side of things. This could interrupt the base of Mako, and he will, and it's actually going to stop Leave too.
There's another wave coming in. At least they'll be able to get the shove out as Zoom. His health bar, Shimada, that's nothing to play with. He's got about 100, 150 HP, if even that. So we'll just wait for the wave to crash in. Leave and Mako will still get their back here with the cannon shoving in. But they are up a little bit of CS depending on how this connection goes with the Zoom picking up the rest of the minions.
You know, I'll say that's arguably a better base for them, because it's crashing with a cannon minion. So
true.
Mako could even open out onto the map through mid, look for a play here with Jie onto Strive and just kind of blow a summoner spell, something like that, if Fofo doesn't hard shove the wave. Or they can just go as a 3 and try and collect some more information on the bottom side. Options quite varied for EDG, but either way, Assume takes his reset, will go back to base, find himself a tier, and then he'll start to stack that one up. Even though it was a rough early couple of waves, he should be able to recover quite nicely.
But speaking of rough waves, mid is said the same. Strive continues to take bad trades. Oh, Arla, beautiful hop away. Cube just about to get pummeled into a wall. That Mega Knight's coming up. He won't need to burn the flash right now. Cube's going to have to burn the TP to get back into this lane as Luoyan waits for that timing. Mega Knight in, stopping the back, no. Teleport's going to be coming through. Luoyan hasn't been spotted. Arla, the wave is in an equal state, but he's playing this so safe.
Yeah, I think he just game sense, right? He knows he's about to time out. He knows Cube's coming back to base. Or coming back from base, rather. Just take the reset. No need to overextend. Really, really good stuff from Arla, because he knows he can just teleport back and still collect the wave either way. Now, we said earlier, Fofo, quite consistent lane priority here. And that potentially a play could happen on the bottom side of the map. And it seems like that will be in the name of this dragon, which EDG should be able to collect pretty much uncontested. We'll see if Leon can maybe try and force a play on the top side to try and answer this out.
I mean, Fofo just crashing that mid wave. Strive, it looks like it was most likely cannon wave I'm going to get, because the Strive hits this away. 10 CS down in mid. Already Fofo showing his stuff as this is going to be a Mega Nard dive. It really is. I don't trust this.
I mean, they're going to be able to step up Permafrost really quickly, but Flash, Mega Nard,
well, it's 3 though.
The wave is cleared out really quickly.
And Cube's just taken a million turret shots. Cube has just taken the whole family of turret shots as Arla's running for his life. Strive's coming up. They can't follow this, and that was smooth as anything from Arla.
Yeah, really good. Interrupts the hook shot as well. I think he still gets stunned, but the point is he actually gets the CC back into Cube, so he can't reset the tower aggro with the ultimate, and that means that it's still Cube tanking up all of those tower shots, and there's no real follow-up available for the rest of RA because he's not locked down in that ultimate. So really well played from Arla. I think we're just going to get a replay of it as well, just for confirmation. So he interrupts the hook shot, but I think he still gets stunned. Yeah, unfortunate interaction. Either way, he clears the wave, gets the additional stun, and Cube has to flash away, and with no ultimate locking him down, even, you know, kind of half in place, he can still flash out of the way, but it's a very limited movement. None of RA, none of the rest of them can actually catch up and get any more damage or CC in. So really well played from Arla. Just dissuading that dive, 3v1.
And what did it cost? All those resources from RA. It cost more mid lane pressure as Fofo was able to push out the wave and stay mid while Strive committed that ulti. And again, as we look at Fofo just unleash hell, Strive is not having fun.
Now, I don't want to say that this early game is looking kind of rough for RA, but the earliest the plays aren't going their way. All right, as okay, yeah, Fofo's just gonna, next, you know, just basically, he's waiting for Southwind to show up now, and he's actually coming to mid. He's just maybe trying to open up through the top side, but JJ's already on this Herald, and I think this one should be going in favor of EDG too. So early pickups there as Arla just finds another nice hop.
So, Jamada, I gotta ask at this point, EDG are controlling the early game. There has been a bit of brain diff so far, I feel like, coming through as JJ might not give time to answer my question. He is on a ward though, so Cube has the ability to play careful, Loya, and the ability to play the counter gank. Ooh, we just got to see what happens here. The enhanced recall with Rift Herald picked up momentarily ago. JJ's going to use it to get back. So, Jamada, back to my question. Walk me through comps a little bit again, because side lane does feel important for RA. It does feel like snowballing is. Oh my god!
He had Q! He could have auto-attack reset it.
He literally could have used it early. That's right. I don't know, man. Cannon's just unlucky today. I got to bring it back. I need to know, like, if RA don't find themselves something in these lanes, how hard is it to play side lanes? Let me ask questions. Mako's not dead, though. He's going to flash away, luckily. Or should I say, the damage is just not enough at this point. Jamada, EDG's bottom lane, getting threatened a little bit now.
Yeah, they are getting threatened. I mean, going back to your question, though, comps.
Please.
I think it's, you know, even if the lanes don't necessarily go super positively, it's more about just kind of taking into consideration the scaling and the 1v1s on those side lanes and how they really interact with one another. And I just feel like, realistically, it's quite RA favored. Strive is going to eventually become a little bit unleashed once he hits sort of 2.5 items. Once he's got the shield bow plus a couple of the components, he'll be ready to fight. But of course, that second item spike, very, very potent for one half of the Wind Brothers as Mako.
Oh, speaking of which, that potency shown on Southwind, he flashes, heals. He's out of there with, oh, it's definitely not Annie. I forgot this skin. The dip is looking like a schoolgirl. Just the best Annie skin, I think.
It's so goofy. I love it so much. But yeah, just to round off the point, RA should win out on the side lanes. For EDG, it's kind of a little bit more about team fighting still. And just kind of blowing up whoever you can with the Syndra, as much wombo as you can. However, if Syndra gets put behind like this, it can be rough.
Fofo, Scale of the Week's good, but he's just been hit up with everything. Strive getting first blood at 10 minutes, and Loyen was sick of all those snakes on the plane.
Why? What?
Not sure.
Why was he sick of the snakes on the plane?
Because he wasn't getting anything done. Now. It's like Samuel L. Jackson at the end of the movie. He's had enough of all those snakes on the... It's hard without the swearing. But nothing was happening. Nothing was going right. Loyen finally gets something.
Yeah, and one really neat interaction I want to highlight in this replay is Strive actually ults through the Scat of the Week. So when you start the ultimate channel, no matter what, it finishes. It can't be interrupted. Whether intentional or not, very nice interaction used by Strive. And Fofo, unfortunately, cannot find his way away from Lian and Strive as we pan back to the top side. Arla is getting the better hand of the early stages here. Not necessarily unprecedented in this lane, but you would expect usually that RA would give a lane like this a little more attention to try and make it more cube favored. It just hasn't been able to work out for them so far.
But look, what lane are you going to try and give priority to, right? Because all of them are burning. Even bottom side, despite Assume and Southwind getting themselves a bit more shoving, and maybe that plate before, Leave has more. Fofo is shredding 30 CS in the mid lane. And right now, Jed just has to be monkey. That's it. He just gets to chill out in his jungle, pick up another dragon. Yeah, probably, you know, get a bunning snag while you're at it, chill out with a VB, and just wait for these team fights you mentioned. There's Flash here onto Mako. He burns his summoner, or rather, just gets obliterated with Assume's great timing.
Yeah. Heimlinger and Varus, ladies and gentlemen. That's the best combo. It's very, very difficult to walk away from if you get clipped by even the first bit of the CC. If you're not leave with the cleanse, you will likely die. And RA are now just going to reap the benefits of that plate, pick up another plate, and walk happily away from the tower. But EDG did pick up that second dragon of the game, so they're the ones with the early dragon stack. And we saw how important Hextech was to RA's eventual victory. And it really did close the gap for that scaling. This time around, it's an ocean.
Okay, it is Camille and hookshot, walkshot. To give Cube credit, that timing was pretty slick.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. This time, Ocean Dragon really already did the same thing for EDG. Not really. They're not against, you know, a mountain of poke like how RA were, for example, last game.
True.
But we'll see. Souls are still very powerful. Just not sure about the application of this one, as the Young could be found out here. But, I mean, Strive right behind him.
JJ has been hit with Permafrost. That's an easy ulti. Just taken down. Strive then turns his attention, but they haven't killed JJ yet. He re-engages with double Cyclone. Strive, finish your meal before you start the second one.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. And the way they could have actually just kind of finished this off, Strive just had to recast his E. JJ would have died if Strive actually just goes back to the soul. It's like a mini death mark. He doesn't cast it. JJ gets a little bit more regeneration back. I think from a Divine Thunder approach. Now 1v1 in the bottom side of Zoom.
Oh, he's going to cleanse away. Leave unable to reach range at maximum as Southwind puts the turret down. Oh, he flashes! Leave in the turret. He knows he's dead, but he flashes the chains of corruption, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger would do.
Oh, Leave. You may have overstepped, but you definitely make the overstep worth. You clean up a little bit of what happened up in the top side for your mid jungle as well. I really want to see a replay of that 2v2. I'm not sure we're going to get it if we haven't gotten it by now. Strive, he's roaming up now to the top side. Cube has ultimate, has flash, and this is Mininar.
Yeah, it is. The flash away, and this time, look, Cube is not letting Arla get away scot-free. He's not letting anyone from EDG get away scot-free. Strive gets a kill, and at least RA finally gets some of those picks again.
Yeah, finally. EDG will trade out with this mid lane tier 1. RA are on top of this dragon, but the ultimate economy just isn't quite in their favor. And those ults in terms of skirmishing are so much more impactful at this stage in the game for RA, in my opinion, than it is for EDG. They need the last, not the last breath, it's the other brother. They need the Fate Seal. They need the Glacial Prison really to skirmish. The cooldowns are coming back up now, and sure, EDG's ultimates are available, but you can see how oppressive it gets just because of how quickly those permafrost stacks can be layered in. Assume almost collapsed on, not going to happen. But whilst this Herald's going on, Leave gets tower to himself on the bottom side, and EDG even get picked the lid to pick up a couple of jungle camps down here as well. So they're collecting resources. They'll trade out for this 2v2. We do get a replay of this. So what I really want to draw your attention to is more about how long Strive stayed in the soul form, gets the ultimate off the back of this chain TC, and then goes on to Foco, which makes total sense, right? Absolutely. But because he's focused on taking him down, JJ just comes back overall because he's not dead yet to get out as much damage as he can. And once he snaps back to the form, unfortunately the Divine Thunder healing means that it's not enough damage anymore to kill JJ on the snapback. And Leave, as we are here in this 2v1, flash over the Chains of Corruption.
Nice.
All I'm going to say is if that was my solo queue ADC, he would have flashed into the Chains of Corruption. So, well played, Leave.
Very true. Some class moments throughout. And we don't see it on the replay, but Strive was able to come up to the top side and get the kill onto Arla after that play went quite horrendously. So RA were able to get something back. And I like that you pointed out that for RA, you know, getting these picks, even trading evenly here, it does feel like when you talk about scaling and we mentioned side laning, it's a big deal. But Cube, speaking of a big deal, is going to get taken down by one. Bofa gets second kill. Is that TP? That's in a dangerous spot. Strive ultis has to flash out though. He teleported in to die. Overly ambitious and just ridiculously silly as the rest of RA are now here. But Leave in a spot now to slow them down. Southwind and Loyan both hit. Both from the scale of the week. All he needs, the flash out, the heal out. Southwind is out, but Loyan throws his ulti as well. That's just Dragon, and RA kind of handed it to them.
Yeah, RA still a flat start to be honest with you. EDG happy to just accept this third dragon of the game. Like you said, Strive. You know, Sunday was yesterday. He's missed church. That was the time for donating. And Strive doesn't even have the chance to even cast his E. He just dies in the mists of EDG's damage. And yeah, kind of just handed over a couple of quick kills, more resources, and EDG at the moment, they've just taken real firm control of this game.
All it took was one play. Third dragon comes through as well. So we look at the replay again. This was set up by Fofo in Brush, attaching to this side lane.
Yeah, not really much Cube can do, but the teleport comes, it's just such a... Surely you know Cube's gonna die. I guess RA just expects a little bit more time to be bought from Cube in terms of not getting one shot, but it just doesn't end up working that way. And unfortunately, both solo lanes going down means that they can't even turn it into a skirmish where they can maybe trade some kills, maybe delay that dragon, and it goes over to EDG.
And on the return, as we come back to live, RA able to get something mid, but gold lead is still 3k in EDG's favor as Cube is starting to attach himself again to the side lane. Strive was sitting towards top, but Loyan has to hover for him as JJ comes over, ready for another Cyclone. It's coming up in about 5 seconds as turret goes down, opening up Arla's top lane just a little bit more. And we have 4 minutes to wait for now, Jamada, because Dragon's coming up very early on. This is going to be an early Ocean Soul for a team that you told me wants to team fight. I think you just hit the jackpot here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I feel like the Ocean Soul, it's, you know, it's all right. And I feel like,
all right?
It's all right. Yeah, it's all
Better
right.
to deny it from RA, I feel like. It's fair.
Yeah. That's the important part. At the end of the day, like, any buff that you can get, any advantage you can get, it's still an advantage, right? And dealing with the poke that's going to be available from Southwind and Nasum, going to be pretty huge. And hey, I mean, you never know. If the tick timing is just right and you're being dove on by Strive, Lian, Cube, and those crucial last ticks of regeneration give you the opportunity to get out another spell, get out another PCC, just one more right click. It can make the difference in a team fight at the end of the day. So still, nothing to scoff at as Strive might be scoffing at this Wukong damage.
Yeah, he's going to get out with the Fate Seal, but hang on a minute with the Cyclone through. Back in, cheeky devilish Strive, but flash over the wall. JJ wants it as a solo, but Fofo won't let him. It's a flash. It's another pick. And it's EDG getting themselves Strive down a second time as Chain Destruction was thrown out. Baron is now live here, but looks like EDG aren't going to play the risky basket with a little bit of help taken from JJ.
Yeah, a little bit too flippy, I would say. JJ's going to go back to base and just regenerate. And EDG will happily walk away with the pick that they found for themselves and put a little bit more pressure onto RA, shoving the waves, side lanes, looking pretty good. And generally, as we crest over the 20-minute mark, I beg your pardon. You can see EDG.
You beg for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. EDG have hit the 2 item mark for their carries. JJ is actually really, really close to a Black Cleaver. He might be able to get it before the dragon spawns up even. I'm not too sure, but with those components, he's maybe like 1,000 gold away.
Do you ever wonder, beg your pardon, it doesn't sound strange when you break down, you know, someone sneezes or makes a mistake, I beg your pardon. Why would you need pardon from the person that did the wrong thing? Why would you beg pardon from the person that did the wrong thing? Because you're obviously saying it like to someone...
So it's like you're asking for a pardon from the other person.
Right. But if I was rude, like my pop would say, beg your pardon to me. Like, you know, I've done something wrong.
Yeah, so
I
it
never
works.
understood
English
that.
is a weird language, right? Because it can mean both sides. Like, if you said something rude to me and I was like, beg your pardon, it's like me asking you to apologize for it. But if I do something kind of rude and I say, I beg your pardon, it's more like, forgive me for, you know, doing something rude. So yeah, it's just English being goofy. And more specifically, I guess, it's quite, I beg your pardon, it's quite exclusive to like England's, the English and Aussies, really, isn't it? It's not really an American thing.
We are your convicts, you know. You literally just, you put us here on this island because you were just, these people stealing loaves of bread. Let's not cut their arms off.
Look, I sound English, but, you know, I'm part of that crew almost, actually, to be fair. Part of the,
okay, all right.
Don't forget. Only English by accent and the fact I live here. As
okay.
Speaking.
Well, look.
Come back to the game. RA.
Yeah, please.
They're in the river first, which is good, because they can try and get some poke down. The issue is EDG are kind of able to potentially pincer this with Arla, who's halfway through his Mega Bar, and they're looking for the fight.
Southwind has to get out though. Arla's about to go Mega Knight, and they're in a choke. Arla gonna get the perfect ult. Okay, he does flash Cube. Gets locked up so he doesn't get over the wall. Arla, that passage of play was just strange. As Leave now follows up, RA already zoned out, and this Dragon Soul might just go over to them. I was expecting Arla to do big things, but I just watched in hilarity as this Nah jumped around the place.
You know, some days you're just there as a top laner.
Yeah.
You know, you're just present.
That was still a sick block from Cube getting over the wall.
Yeah.
Absolutely magnificent. But the ulti at first is obviously not what we're looking at.
It doesn't make it any less silly looking, kind of, you know? Fortunately, we have a slow-mo replay to break down exactly how it happened. And yeah, get the ult. Unfortunately dodged away from by Cube. We get the flash, and the extra flash to stop him from going over the wall. It's good stuff from Arla, and it secures that kill. Because maybe, just maybe, Cube can, you know, sort of mess around, look for a reposition, and potentially cause some issues on the back line again. But fortunately, with that blockage, it means that RA lose their top laner. It's a 4v5, and they can't really get through the choke. So EDG secure the Ocean Salt. And I guess the other sort of underutilized or underspoken about, I guess, point of an Ocean Soul is you can Baron dance forever with it. You can just start up, get poked down, and if you need to disengage, just regen. So Aria also going to have to contest with that. As we toggle the vision, you can see it's only really the scuttle for now, but once that's gone, information is going to be very limited for the side of Aria.
They need to get rid of this ward here that Mako keeps going over. As Loyan tries to find a pick onto JJ, that's timing ult, Chain to Corruption. They used everything on a Wukong, who also had everything up and available. RA panicking a little bit here. The ZDG now starts slimmering out that hope, that vision control, that chance to get a bit of a peekaboo into the Baron. EDG say no, and now that they've cleared out all that vision, they're just, as you said, Jamana, waiting for the scuttle to be leaned out as they start the Baron and want RA to run into them.
They really do.
Okay,
Southwind lose half himself, but this is being started up by Fofo, by JJ, and now Leave is going to join the crew, and Mako is just going to play bodyguard. That's all he's got to do. And if Leon tries to step up, he can just get stunned. And the turn can actually come through from EDG if they want it as well.
Well, Cube needs to get in here. I mean, they want the TP, obviously, but RA aren't pulling the trigger as Strive, and Southwind getting poked out. Cube is just sitting on a side lane. Loyan is about to die to a mini-Nah autoing. Cube, are you ever coming in? I guess not, as everything's going to be used on the Mega Nah now. See you later. Massive bait as Leave forces them in. Cube still not TPing. I can't stop focusing on it, as Assume is lucky to be alive, but for how much longer? Leave will pick up the kill, EDG pick up the Baron, and this game is looking done.
It just feels like a bit of a half-hearted call from RA if they're not bringing Cube up, right? I'm not sure what the comms were there, but RA, a little bit all over the place. Leon forced out, and surely once you lose the jungler there in that kind of situation, you just back away, but RA just willing to throw more bodies to the plate. EDG, they get their kills, they get the Baron. They've had the soul for a little while now, and now they're looking to open up the base and try and close out this series.
It's just been a bit of a roller coaster of emotions for RA, showing signs they can be a playoff team, and then this game getting absolutely slaughtered, caught out, and EDG once again showing us that team fighting kings is great. Scout of the week to zone off. Mako survives because of it, and now Loyan has to flash, but the Disintegrate follows him down. The Ignite will help tick over as JJ gets another as Chain Corruption hit onto the Monkey, the real one this time, but EDG have broken the base and they've taken away the jungler of the enemy team while Arla continues assaulting bottom side. This Baron play also at 6,000 gold with 1:40 of it left to go. We haven't even gotten over this replay here, Jamada, as Mako might have missed, but he did enough zoning for Loyan.
Yeah, you know, you're just right, but as I look at this replay, Cube would have to teleport to, I guess, a minion wave? No, there's a ward in that top side mid lane brush, so again, it just feels kind of weird and a bit half-hearted from the side of RA.
Yep.
They're just looking to, you know, kind of, I don't know, greedily see if they can get the Baron without losing as much resources as possible, but at this point in the game, the trajectory is, you're going to lose, right? Just send everything. You have to imagine that's got to be the more realistic call, but doesn't end up coming through. Cube gets chunked out there on the bottom side as we come out that replay.
What beautiful stun.
Yeah.
Southwind, is he just dead?
Yes,
he is. There's a lightning crash. Stripe has to yeet on out of there, and as Leave runs into the base, now RA have to decide, how do we spend our last moments before EDG put us in the coffin with the Ocean Salt with the Baron? RA, it's time to fight. Cube, get in there. Hello. RA, hello, hello, hello. RA. Anybody? Hey, anybody? Pick up the phone. Guys. Yeah, hi, it's Asterix here. Hi, are you guys going to fight? No? Oh, okay, well, EDG 2-1 then.
I think that's the best end game call I've ever heard. But it rings a bit true, doesn't it? I think that last maybe 10 minutes or so for RA, it felt like they just had no way to fight, right? And I think it just bled into the mentality of that game for them. They couldn't look for proactive plays anymore. Felt like their window had already closed because of how far EDG were ahead. And, you know, an excellent game to top off what was a very fun series to watch in EDG. I think just trying to make a little bit of amends after their Game 2 performance, because realistically, I feel like they should have probably found ways to stave off RA in that game number 2. So it's not the cleanest series in the world, and it's not 2-0 to try and bring them into that top 2 on game difference, but they still maintain a 7-2 record, and they keep up pace with JDG and LNG.
It's a shame like RA weren't able to give us a competition in game number 3, because I think I was surprised by how they came into that game 2. I was surprised by the fact that RA showed us so much within the realms of just a series alone, even within the game 1. But EDG, when they're switched on, they are on. Like game 2, I think as well, JJ didn't have a position of control, and we saw Jamada in game 2 on his Gragas. JJ was just all over the place. EDG didn't have that stability, and it kind of fell apart. And I think there's important notes of like these core players like JJ, like Mako. If they're falling off, or if they're not holding positions of power, giving direction to the rest of the team, then EDG just don't look as solid as they did.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, it's not even really a harsh assessment, because even in the context of the team, the changes that have been made, it makes sense that if your most veteran player or one of your more veteran players doesn't necessarily have the agency to make calls or make plays because of the champion that they're handed or the situation they're in, that the rest of the team starts to look a little bit lackluster. So I think that's definitely something that EDG are going to have to monitor moving forward. But very clearly, like as we just saw from game number 1, game number 3, if we do have JJ on a champion which can command a lot more pressure and actually sort of drag numbers from lanes to early plays, then EDG are a force to be reckoned with, and it's very hard to keep up with some of their early game plays if they start to take full control.
And look, for EDG, again, like despite game 2, they still look like a top 3 team. They have locked themselves in for top 3, not for the whole, you know, for a large portion, because they will be versing LNG later on, but they're a solid contender. They're up in the top 4, indubitably. Like this team is, again, such a big surprise. And even in that game number 3, like Ala had some brilliant moments. I think JJ, again, you know, saying that he had a much better game 3. Fofo throughout the series felt pretty consistent there, Jamada. Like, I think Fofo, again, showing us why EDG made this investment and filled the shoes of Scout with a player that has been a bit questionable in the LPL. Fofo and EDG, again, has been one of their most solid players in this series. The same is to be said.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go ahead and say it. I feel like he's been one of the strongest mid laners so far this year, right?
Nice,
And I think, honestly, especially when you consider expectations, that's a massive statement to, you know, kind of be levied against your name. So I'm very happy to see that Fofo has been able to step into this lineup, given the history, and, you know, perform really, really well for EDG. And again, you know, because of the potential concerns that, as I suppose a community we had for EDG, seeing them play this well is definitely something that I can continue to look forward to as we move towards the end stages of the split.
We can talk about their schedule coming up, though, but before we do that, I believe we do have an interview. I believe it's JJ, unless my ears don't work anymore. So we're going to throw over to the interview and see what we got.
Hello there, welcome to Postgame Interview. I'm Christina. We're joined by Jie, the jungler for EDG. Congratulations on your 2-1 victory. First question, I really want to touch on that Elise pick in game number 1, because it's been a long time since we saw you pick this champion last time. And what's your take on this meta, especially in jungle positions? 欢迎姐姐来到我们的赛后采访，恭喜 EDG 今天2-1拿下了比赛的胜利。首先可以看到第一局的时候，姐姐这边是已经选出了蜘蛛这个英雄哈，我们已经有很长时间没有看到你拿出你这个招牌英雄了，所以你觉得在今天的第一局选出他的契机是什么呢？
蜘蛛在这个版本是一个很强势的大英雄。如果我们能选到一些比较进攻性比较强的阵容的时候，我们就会选择蜘蛛作为我们的打野。
Actually, I think that Elise is really a very strong jungle champion in this meta, and if we can get some aggressive picks in our draft so that we can just pick this champion in game number 1. And I also want to touch on how did you guys reveal after losing game number 2, which is really back and forth, and I know that EDG performed pretty good in late game and you also stole the Elder, but things didn't go well for EDG. How did you guys adjust your form after this game? 那么今天第2局的时候，我们可以看到后期其实是非常跌宕起伏的嘛。其实我们看到 EDG 这边在后期也展现了韧性，包括你有精彩的抢掉了第2条远古龙之后，可能这局比赛还是稍稍小吃一成。在这一局之后，队伍是怎么样进行复盘呢？
这把打完之后就觉得前面节奏不对吧，然后我们没有控到很多的游戏资源，所以下一把之后把对面擅长的英雄ban掉之后，我们选用了我们比较擅长的一套打法。
Actually, maybe in game number 2, we didn't find the right game pace in early game, and we lost so many mutual objectives, like so many drakes. And in game number 3, we just changed our BP strategies to make sure that we pick a very comfortable BP draft for our team. And next question, I know that game number 3 is really solid game for EDG. So from your perspective, which part did you think and you did a really better great job than Rare Enemy in order to take a very solid victory in game number 3? 那么确实在经过了调整之后，第3局 EDG 这边是一局非常稳扎稳打的运营局。那么从杰的角度来看，你们觉得在哪个部分就可以说是比对面做得更好？然后比如说是像对线呐、阵容还是一些什么资源控制之类的？
从对线上我们就已经打出了比较高的压制力了，然后我们通过对线获得的优势去控到了所有的地图资源，就很好赢下比赛。
Actually, we did a better job in laning phase in early game, and so that we can control so many very important mutual objectives for this victory. Final question for you: you are going to play against LNG, who ranks the first place of the standings. What's your take on next matchup against them? 最后一个问题，这边 EDG 将在下一局面对到目前稳居积分榜榜首的 LNG 嘛？他们在这个赛季的状态也很好。那么姐姐对下一局比赛有什么看法呢
？LNG 这个赛季打得很好，然后就 Scout 等我来杀他吧。
LNG performs pretty good in this meta, and I really want to say something to Scout that I'm going to kill you. Please wait for me, Scout. Thank you so much for joining me. 谢谢姐姐来到我们的赛后访问。Back to you guys.
Thank